Hello and welcome to this infrastructure domain session 2. This is part of the buildingSMART International Standards Summit at Lillestrøm 2023. This is a joint session between infrastructure and railway. Thank you for joining us today. My name is John Proctor and I am your moderator. As you can see, we have a very varied and full session for you. I will hand shortly to Tiina and Anna, who will set the scene, but we will be hearing from a number of BIM clients from the Nordic region who are preparing to use or are already using IFC 4.3. The session is scheduled to last for 90 minutes and we will have time at the end for questions and answers. The session's being recorded and will be made available in the replay section of the event as soon as possible. Before I hand over to Tiina, I'd like to remind you this is a hybrid event. For online attendees, your microphones will remain muted. If you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please add it to the comments box and I will prompt you to do that during the session. For people in the room, please keep background noise to a minimum. And if you wish to make a comment or question, please raise your hand and we'll use this microphone. I'd also like to remind you the information that is on the screen now. That buildingSMART is committed to ensuring that participation and the development of standards is unrestricted and the process for their adoption is transparent, and standards that are developed do not favour any particular provider but are open, non-binding and accessible to all. Please take note of our antitrust code of conduct. With that, I'm going to pass back to Tiina and the agenda.
So welcome all to the last session for today. This is the joint session together with infra domain and railway domain, and the focus is in the Nordic collaboration. We had a long history in the Nordic collaboration. In the past, there was only one Nordic chapter, which includes the Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. Nowadays, we do have 3 individual chapters, but still we feel that we want to continue the cross-chapter collaboration. One reason is, of course, because of the resources, all those capable human resources, etc., could be divided with cross-border, of course, and in different buildingSMART projects. Also, we have this is the chapter collaboration, but in Nordic level, we do have also the collaboration between the Nordic infrastructure client organization. So there will be a presentation for that collaboration and the Nordic chapter collaboration as well. Some examples from different projects run by these Nordic client organizations. My name is Tiina Perttula. I'm chair of the infrastructure domain and I'm also the member of buildingSMART Finland. So welcome to this session. And first I would like to invite to the stage Peter Axelsson from buildingSMART Sweden to talk about the collaboration in the chapter level.
Yep, thanks Peter. I'll just bring up your slides.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for attending this session, and I will give a presentation about the Nordic cooperation that we have. I think it will come any second. So my name is Peter Axelsson. I'm the chapter leader for buildingSMART Sweden since a couple of months back. And as Tiina said, we have a long tradition and history of cooperation within the Nordic countries. And the Nordic Hub, as we call it, is one of those organizations. We will hear later about the Nordic BIM Collaboration Group also, which has a slight different touch to it. But so why a hub and what do we do? So I will just go through the way we are working with this, who can be part of it, how are we organized and what do we do, and a little bit of the implementation work that is going on with IFC that is also discussed within this group, and some future tasks that we have ahead of us. So why have we formed this organization? Well, we have a lot of similarities between the different Nordic countries, both regarding the technical level, maturity, but also on the commercial side. There are also differences, of course, but we have found it very useful to have these discussions among us in this way. We also have the historical legacy that we had, as Tiina said, one chapter a few years back. Now we have separate chapter each of us, but we still wanted to continue this cooperation between the chapters. So the chapters were forming this BIM hub for the Nordic chapters. So we have a collaboration on the BSI projects, also sharing resources, since we are fairly small countries compared to some other European states. So we need to, and worldwide, of course, even more. But so we need to share our resources and be careful so we're not doing too much work in parallel, but that we share when needed and when it's useful. And also to have a unified approach and voice regarding BSI related issues, so that instead of just going in one chapter, we can go in with the whole Nordic countries together, and then we have a much stronger voice. And together we are quite strong in both also financing the projects, especially regarding the development of IFC lately. So together we are quite strong in this organization. And also aligning and sharing strategies, ideas and development within our communities. Typically the development and implementation of IFC 4.3. And of course we are very nice colleagues. We have very nice meetings, and when we meet physical 1 or twice a year, it's always very nice. This was from Copenhagen 22, and this year we met in Stockholm in 23. So who can be a part of the Nordic Hub? Many wants to be part of it, but you actually have to be one of the Nordic countries. You have to be a full member to be a full membership, but we also have some associated organizations that have observer status, like Iceland, Estonia, Lithuania, the Baltic states. I don't know if there are any more. I think those are all of them. But mainly it's Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Sweden who are the full chapter members that form the Nordic Hub. And so I don't want to go into the organization too much, but it's a little bit of interest since we now in the European chapters have a discussion about the European forum for the chapters here. So the organization here is very informal. Like we don't have any payments or invoices. It's all each member is responsible for their own costs and so on. So there are no written obligations between the different parties. So it's in that way it's more on the form of a network than any sort of legal entity or that kind. So what do we do then within this hub? Well, we have the communication of the different chapter activities, management and development. How do we run the different chapters to get new members, keep the members, different activities, implementation plans, and so on. We arrange and host a yearly conference. We had it recently, just a couple of weeks ago, when Richard Kelly was there visiting, very appreciated, where he explained also for people outside the Nordic Hub how buildingSMART is organized on the more international level. And also support the collaboration between the local and international activities, and try to encourage industry stakeholders to participate more in different activities and projects that we are running. And right now we are discussing a position paper regarding the role and position of buildingSMART in a Nordic context, that we can go out to different stakeholders to have a common approach to those issues between the different countries. When it comes to implementing of IFC 4.3, there are several initiatives in the Nordic countries that we share and discuss with each other, even though they are not coordinated between each other. But we discuss them and share them as much as we can. And these are just some examples, like Denmark is producing guidelines. Trafikverket, Swedish Transport Administration, has mandated IFC. Iceland has a mandate for IFC. Finland, we heard very much about the building permits with IFC, and software certification is also something that we have discussed very much. And to define a strategic future, explaining the benefits and maximizing the community leverage, because we need to tell the industry why we want to do this and what the benefits are in a better way than we are doing today. And in that task, I think the chapters have a very important task to do that. The future of the hub, is it needed in the future or not? I think we feel that it fills its purpose. There are those different tasks that we need to discuss. The implementation of 4.3, aligning requirements is one of the issues. Load level of information needs is one of the issues that we have been working very much on with the Nordic countries. We have written a report on that is also available on the buildingSMART pages, I think, yes. The EU BIM forum that I mentioned before, that will be discussed tomorrow, I think, is also a task where we need to have, we want to have a unified approach from the Nordic countries, because these are quite difficult questions. And then, of course, we have the integrated Nordic, European, and world market. So I think we will have a continued need for the Nordic Forum, especially with a lot of new regulations coming from the European Commission. Now we have the products regulations, but there will be a number of other ones as well coming. So I think we need to continue this cooperation, and it's been very fruitful so far. So I think I stop there. It was a little bit shorter than 15 minutes. That's unusual, but if there are any comments or questions, please.
Thank you, Peter. Any comments or questions to Peter? We can take them now if there are. I'm going to invite Jenna and Tarmo into the stream as well. No? Okay. Thanks, Peter. We can have questions and answers at the end as well. So I'm just bringing Tarmo and Jenna onto the stage. Hi, welcome. You can speak to us, Tarmo, if you wish, while I bring your slides up.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Greetings from rainy and cloudy Helsinki. I'm very happy to talk to you, to Oslo. I'm very sad that I'm not there with you guys in the BSI summit. And we have a shared presentation with Jenna. I will talk a little bit about NBC Group, common backgrounds and targets, and then Jenna will go a little bit further what we are doing in BSDD issue. Okay, so NBC Group is, as you can see, also like Peter said, very nice and very happy colleagues getting together. This picture is from Stockholm meeting this June when we collaborated. We joined for 2 days, having a common meeting with NBC Group, and then next day there was a BSDD workshop, how to use BSD in different countries to share the experiences. Let's take a next slide. Like Tiina said, the Nordic countries have very long history. We actually have a free traveling without passport between Nordic countries already since 1952. After that, nothing happened, but in 2014, the Nordic public clients collaboration started. Actually, the Nordic road directors gathered together and decided that we have to collaborate in field of BIM. And very soon, the railway organizations in some countries, there are different railway organizations joined the collaborations. So the NBC Group was founded 2014. And in NBC Group, there is Väylävirasto and Trafikverket from Finland and Sweden. They have the both road and rail in the one organization. From Norway and Denmark, the organizations are a little bit divided. So there is Statens Vegväsen and Nye Veier for roads in Norway, and Bane Nor for railways in Norway. And in Denmark, Baden Danmark for rails, and the Vejdirektorat for roads. And we finally signed 2017, as you can see picture from Helsinki, from FTIA office, actually, memorandum of understanding, where we made this a little bit more official, this collaboration. We have actually same rules as the Nordic chapters, that we are a collaboration body which don't have a budget. We work in the network basis. If we want to collaborate in the projects, we fund them separately. Okay, next slide. We have worked in the MO. We decided that we make collaboration to discuss what are we doing for BIM. We want to share a common Nordic BIM understanding, and there is many issues for that one. One important is international standardization, generic BIM concept, common BIM measurements, and also the other few is practical work and resulting Nordic guidelines. We want to discuss what is the Nordic best practices, what is new in information modeling, information management. And during these quite many years, we have actually noticed that these countries has different backgrounds for BIM, different working processes for BIM, different organizational cultures. But we also have found many things where we can share experiences, we can make collaborations, and we can make even common projects. So next slide. There is some examples. We usually meet about quarterly teams or live. Last live meeting was in Stockholm. And we have collaborated in many ways. One important is, of course, related to the buildingSMART International. We have been collaborating in IFC infra projects, IFC alignment, IFC road, IFC rail. We have shared resources, we have made collaboration, we have even shared funding in the projects to get us, like Peter said, stronger. Maybe the Nordic countries together is a little bit less than half of Germany or less than half of France. So we want to be more powerful together. There is some examples of our common projects. 2018, we defined the common BIM maturity model. You can see there example of that one. There is also the If you share the slides, there is link for more information about that one. 2020, Phil Jackson made a Nordic classification report for us, comparing the Nordic classifications in different Nordic countries. It's very interesting report. It's also published now. Actually, the link is for the buildingSMART International report page. And the last project together is status of LOD project 2022. And like I said, we want to discuss about things, and then we want to collaborate in those kind of things. We see that we can share the common vision, or we can benefit for collaborating together. And next thing, we have noticed that BSDD is in all our hands, and Jenna will tell a little bit more about what is our ideas about BSD and collaboration. Jenna, please.
Hi everybody, my name is Jenna Ikonen. I work for the Finnish Transport and Infrastructure Agency as an InfraBIM expert. And I will first go through a little bit of the concepts why we have taken a big interest in BSDD within the NBC. And then I'll share a little bit of the workshop we had. It's all in the same slide. Yes. Okay. And then also tell a little bit about how we're planning to go further with that. So, like, why is BSDD a hot topic among us? For example, in Finland, currently in the projects, all the guidelines and instructions for projects are scattered in different PDFs, and they're all over the internet. So in the future, we want to have the instructions in one place and that they are machine readable. So BSDD will provide many opportunities in linking our objects and data specifications in one place. And also, like now when we're working together and have one place to work together in, that will also help us moving together towards where we can determine joint needs and go towards unified Nordic standards. Also, of course, we're all moving, or some of us already are, moving towards IFC. So the successful use of IFC requires clear and machine-readable instructions. BSDD provides a common platform for sharing information requirements, so it's not only for us owners to provide our requirements there, but also different stakeholders like software providers, designers, and other parties can find the instructions there. Also, the BSDD provides many opportunities to have our data requirements used in projects. So it's not only one possible way, there's many different possible ways. So for example, APIs or using different softwares for enriching data. Next slide, please. So last June we had the NBC meeting in Stockholm, and in conjunction we had a BSDD workshop. So we had a presentation by Artur Tomczak presenting the basic concepts of what BSDD is. And then we told about what we have done in Finland. There will actually be a presentation tomorrow by Nikki Tapper from Rumble, who has been our consultant or our main project worker in the BSDD work. So I strongly suggest everybody to go see Nikki's presentation tomorrow, and he will tell more in detail about the whole project. But basically in 21, we started by building the rail domain. So we created domains for rail and road, where we took the classifications and properties into BSDD. And now we have piloting projects where we're testing how it will work out in different design software. And within those projects, we have now concluded that BSDD is a good system as a distribution channel for sharing information and content requirements. It provides a large number of functionalities. However, all of them have yet not been documented in full. So that would mean that the operating principles and full potential of the BSDD may not be revealed without deeper familiarization and experimentation. Well, basically, like the biggest learning points have been that the implementation requires a lot more work, familiarization, and experimentation. Also, future operating models and processes need to be clarified. But the biggest outcome has been pretty much that BSDD is a suitable distribution channel for rich and diverse data content. And the APIs also offer great potential. So basically after presenting what we've done in Finland, we all concluded like what would be the best step next to move forward together, because like it's so important that we learn from each other and don't do all the same mistakes, and like it's because it's such a new thing, it's really important that we work together, and for not only us but also the other stakeholders who want to take BSDD into use. Next slide, please. So last week or the week before that, we had a small workshop concerning the ISO standard 23386. So this ISO standard is basically about how should we build data dictionaries if we want to combine them all together. So it's well, to my knowledge and understanding, this is basically what you need to understand and take into use in an organization if you want to have interconnected data dictionaries. So it basically describes the methodology, how to describe, author, and maintain properties in interconnected data dictionaries. So we had a discussion together, created a common understanding how should we use the standard and how to build data sets and properties in there. I also heard Eivind Pagander, Tysnes voice there, so he was managing and leading the workshop. So like if you have questions, maybe Eivind can also help me answer if you have questions about the ISO standard. Also, Karin is a well-renowned expert within us who knows about this standard. So yeah, this is what we've done. So looking forward to the next steps together. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you, Tarmo. We're going to move on to Eivind, who's in the room with us. I don't know if you get to go to the front of the screen and introduce yourself, Eivind, while I just bring some slides up.
Yeah. It will also come on the slides. I will skip that slide. Eivind Pagander Tysnes. I'm the discipline coordinator for BIM in Bane NOR. So my manager, Christian, she spoke yesterday, and we have 3 teams, 1 BIM team, 1 GIS team, and 1 geodata team. As a background, I'm a former carpenter trained, and then taken further education as a civil engineer with specialization on roads, area development, and rails, and a master's degree in railway technique, especially the right-of-way and tracks. And I worked as a track designer before I... do you have the PowerPoint as well, John? No, maybe not. No, then it's Shift L or something. And as a hobby, I do umpiring for baseball. I'm Norwegian. And that picture is taken 3 days before I found out I had to represent Bane NOR in the IFC rail projects. So I don't want to say much about Bane NOR. Christian did a lot of that yesterday, so I will just skip that. The background for the project. We need to go from paper and Excel sheets to digital deliveries. And in Bane NOR, when we deliver, especially handover to the assets and operations, everything has to be manually punched today. Even though I have all the information in a model, I still have to punch it manually. We're going to get structured information which enables information management across databases and applications. That's important for us to get it into Bane NOR's common data environment. And we also standardizing the same requirements across project and phases. I should probably say the background here is for a project we call KIM, which is short for Krav til informasjonsmåling, which directly translates to requirements for information modeling. And we want to have the same requirements across every project and phases, so that a project can take the template and just say, oh, in this phase, if we're building downtown Oslo, I might have to have a lot more detailed information in an early design stage if I'm building a new double-track main line across farmlands. Completely different. But we will do that so the project can use less time on defining the information. And it also reduces the elimination risk in information requirements in deliveries. We also collaborate a lot with especially Statsbygg and Sykehusbygg. And Statsbygg made what they call Simba, published a couple of years ago, which is their requirements. And for us, we got that. So we didn't have to be leveraging for a building. We already had it, which is very beneficial for us. We don't have to focus on that. We can use from them. They have all the objects we need in it. We just had to adapt it to our system. And this will be made publicly available as well when we are done. So the goal was to get an ambiguous and structured requirements for information and models, adjusted to phase and project, and information requirement adjusted to a project BIM processes. If you are using model maturity index and the scheduling, like they have to make, in Bane NOR we use model maturity index, or MMI as we just use it short in Norway, a lot. But we are pushing our engineering companies that work for us to say they have to develop an MMI schedule, how they're going to reach the schedule, set MMI from us for delivery. And we can then use that to see how the progress is going. And we also want to do machine validation. Hourly rates in Norway is very high for an engineer. If I can spend less time doing boring work and let the machine do the work, that will help us a lot. So this is a screenshot from our database we work in now. And to the left, this was supposed to come in steps. To the left, we have the naming conventions of this particular is showing a beam where we have the attributes, which is the IFC defined attributes. This is not attribute in sense, it's just information we have structured. But we use common names that are used in the Norwegian industry based on feedback that Statsbygg got, that using the IFC name, they didn't understand it. So we use Norwegian names wherever we can. I'll go a little bit back to all those that looks like it's just user-defined properties. In a way it is, but in a way it isn't. I'll describe more about that afterwards. Of course, we have to have descriptions because the engineer needs to know what he has to deliver. And everything is mapped to a standard. In this case, it's mapped to IFC 4.3. But Bane NOR has to deliver to the road authorities because we build a lot of roads. They require GML because that's what they use in their database. We have to deliver to the Norwegian Surveying Authority. They use a standard that's based on GML. We have to, water and sewage system has to be delivered to the municipalities. So we have a lot of people that are needing our data when we are finished, and we will map afterwards. There won't be one column with the standard schema here. There will be multiple. So I mentioned the properties. So in principle, we have said that first we will try and look and see if this is in the ISO standard. If it's not, we will look at, do we have defined it in a Norwegian standard? So the NONS is just NO for Norway and NS for a Norwegian standard. Tomorrow, Sten Sunnesen and I can't remember who else will talk a little bit more about that. But we actually have a standardization committee inside of Norway that looks on properties that's not defined in the IFC schema. But we have standardized those on a national level in Norway. And then at the third line there is the collaboration we have between other builders and owners in Norway, like Statsbygg and Sykehusbygg. So instead of me defining a property, I go to them as well. Hey, we have this need. Do you agree on this? Yes, then we do it. And we just updated the standard, NS 8360, and a lot of the NOSSB properties was eliminated because they was moved into the standard. And buildingSMART Norway has a rebar group, and they made 2 property sets for rebars. So instead of we trying to find what we was missing in the buildingSMART property, IFC properties, we decided to just use them. So they have all the information we need to make an electronic order of rebars. So we don't have to think about it. So deliveries to Bane NOR, they will be standardized according to our project model. And as Bane NOR has a project model, and we'll do that. And we have the correct information at the right time to the right person. Because the person who's needing the information but doesn't necessarily be in the project. Timetabling, for example. Down here, we have a little picture of how we do that with the check marks, says when we are going to deliver it. And this picture probably shows it a lot better because we're trying to use this is still just a European standard. It's not ISO standard as of yet. I think the ISO standard is in either the DIS or FDIS process now. I can't remember which one it is. But in principle, we have all the check marks and the phases aligned to our project model. So early design, detailed design, and then the information they need to do the work, depending as Bane NOR needs it when it's a EPC contract or a build contract. And the last column is empty. The last column is empty because it occurs with our asset handover, which, as Christian mentioned yesterday, we have another project doing that. So when they are done, we will get all the data, we will get it into the database and fill out all the check marks. Can't remember. Yeah, so the plan is for this first version to be published before Christmas. And that comes from upper management. So it's nothing I have, it's not my option. I have to be at least, if I'm not complete, I have to publish a quality controlled version, which will be available on Bane NOR's website as of right now. So it's accessible for everyone. The link to where it will be published will come later. But you see, we're using a database, which is more or less advanced version of an Excel sheet. This is BIMQ for those who recognize the software, but it has things we miss. So what going to do? First of all, there will come more milestones from the project model. And we also have a lot of deliveries independent of our project model. An example of that is the planning of timetables. In Norway, we start route planning and timetabling 60 months before a project, a new railway line is scheduled to open. Meaning that a project we have in Moss, which is just a couple of just south of Oslo, which is supposed to open in 2030, we will start needing what the information already 2 years from now, just to start doing the route models and everything. And also, I mentioned already mapping to more formats. We want to do more formats because we have made something that's independent of the format. And also, probably two last one is probably, I would say, the most two important things. We want to look into data dictionaries. We want to define an object or entity and say, this is the information we need for this, and then map that object to different standards like IFC, GML, SUSI standard, which is a Norwegian standard for the surveying authority, and so on. And we want to publish it on BSDD. But we can't work in BSDD, so we have to find a solution where we can work as a data dictionary. The benefit of working with data dictionaries, as we see it, is especially here in Norway, when you have a company who have a data dictionary, you can build up a data dictionary. They have already implemented national data dictionaries, national dictionaries. So when I'm building my company-specific data dictionary, I already have a lot. I don't have to use everything. So everything I have, I don't necessarily need to input it because I already have a lot of information there. So that's the future next steps. We might take a little break after Christmas just to relax a little bit to see when we will start this. But we will have a continuous development. More disciplines. Not all disciplines will be there in the first version. There will come more disciplines. There will come more milestones. Will come more deliveries, and we will find a time when we're changing over to the data dictionaries and BSDT. That's more or less what I just added this one. That's the web page. It's unfortunately, I have to admit, we're a Norwegian company, so everything is in Norwegian. And there is a sub page at the bottom here where you come into everything that's talked about now. What I said now in 10-15 minutes, we used 3 weeks ago to the day, 2.5 hours on. So this is just taking the top of the iceberg. If you want more information, I will be here the whole week. And also my email is there. And also the BIM email. That's to Bane NOR General, the BIM team in Bane NOR. So just contact us and we will try to answer. Thank you. Any questions? No. And there's one question there behind there. Julia.
Thanks, Eivind. Someone like to ask you a question?
Yeah.
So quick question. I think I lost it. What do you mean delivery is independent of the project model?
So the project model doesn't say that it doesn't include, for example, timetabling planning, the planning of a new timetable. So that's an independent process of where I am in the project. So if my project is opening in 2 years, but I'm still in the early design phase, what we call is X-60 route planning will not apply to that project. But a project that's like our big project, that X-60, which is 5 years up front of the line putting in order, might come at the early design stage, or it might come when you start building. So it's independent of the project phase, more or less. So, example, cost estimation. You need the same information, more or less, independent if you're in the early design phase or in a detailed design phase, but you'll do it multiple times. So instead of me putting that in 10 times in the model, I just put it in one time. So it's to simplify it.
Okay, and the things that you showed us is basically your standardized data model with standardized property sets and properties.
Yeah.
And you have already selected the mix between like phase and uses?
We have decided to focus especially on getting the information we need when we are going out with a tender for either an EPC contract or a build contract. That's where we'll make the focus, and maybe some design and early phase design as well at the moment. But for the past 3 years, we have been 2 people working on it beside our normal jobs. So, yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Eivind. Like the Norwegian trains, we're running exactly to time.
Yeah, so, we'll see. Well,
yeah.
We don't have a choice, I think.
Yeah. I'm going to invite Eirik to join us online. So, Eirik, if you can hear me, if you could turn your camera on and come off mute. Yep, there you are. Welcome. I'm adding you into the stage for people online. If you just want to say a few words of introduction, Eirik, while you're doing that, I'll bring your slides up.
Yeah, my name is Eirik Åsbakk, and I work in the Norwegian Public Roads Administration. I work as I guess you can call it a BIM manager, BIM coordinator in some projects that we have. So I don't work in I'm not one of the guys who are making the standards in Statens Vegvesen. I'm more on the practical side and how we can implement IFC right now and make it work in our projects. And I'm a civil engineer. I've been working in engineering design for quite a few years, and I also study informatics. And yeah, my job is basically to making this work in our project, as I said.
That's great. Thanks very much. I can see that you're visible online, although not in the room. We have your slides full screen in the room here. So if you want to prompt me as you go through your presentation, I'll move the slides ahead for you.
Yeah, you can just move to the next slide, please. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how we are using BIM today, or IFC today, and a little bit about where we see we can make better use of it. So the first thing is obviously that we use it for coordinating the different disciplines in pre-construction phases. And we have a lot of construction managers on our project that is used to doing this by drawings and PDF documents. And this is a new world for them. So that's been a good experience to have them collaborating in the 3D model. So you can just jump to the next, please. And then we have a really good transparency in the quantity takeoff now, because of course we have different models which contains of objects, and we have properties on all the objects that describe the object itself, of course. So we can just now do queries on the IFC models like it's a database, and we have really good control over all the quantities and different things that would otherwise be described in separate PDF documents and drawings and so on. Yeah, you can just go to the next, please. And this is a video, so I hope you get to, can you play that video? Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. This just shows how we can combine the BIM or the IFC models with open public GIS datasets. So yeah, we have some data that comes from our model, and we can implement open datasets that comes from different web services, from the national map authorities and other data owners, and we can see how our project fits into the world basically, and how it influences other things. Yes, you can just jump to the next one. And there's also a video there. Yep. And normally when we have a project, we produce a lot of paper and a lot of drawings. And it's not really easy to consume for the public what we are trying to do. So now we can just use the models and build web applications really easily, where we can combine text and 3D models and kind of guide them through the project. And it's much easier to communicate with the public how, or yeah, what we are trying to achieve. And there's really a lot of opportunities here in terms of analyzation of all kinds of different things, really. Next slide, please. And another thing that we are focusing really hard on is automation. We try to create scripts and automate as much as we can. Once we have found and this is of course because we aren't yet using all the new things that comes from buildingSMART, like the buildingSMART data dictionary and IDS format. So we need to make our own tools. So we use Python to create scripts to automate data processes, and we use robotic processing to to trigger these scripts after certain events and run them on virtual machines. And this allows for faster iterations and less errors and less hours spent, and really less stress in the project as well. And some tools that we rely heavily on is Python, Grasshopper for doing parametric models so that the models can be easily updated. And we use Simple BIM and have done a lot of automation around that to like get the models like we want them, and to simplify the process with enriching models with or objects in the model with properties. And we use UiPath as a robotic to help us set up the robots. Next slide. So when I started with BIM a few years ago, we had we thought that BIM was just like 3D models, and of course infrastructure can be viewed as an object-oriented system. And of course, if we can agree on the objects and attributes and relationships between objects, we can start to specify and validate deliveries using schemas. And we see that what kind of objects that are of interest and what we need to know about them. Really, if you ask that question to different people, then they will answer different things. So the answer really depends on your view. And we see that today a lot of communication in the project is done by email and PDFs and so on. And we want to move all of that over to exchanging schemas or exchanging data using schemas. And I think IDS seems like a very promising way to do that, because we can, the Norwegian Public Road Administration and so on, we can publish some UML models and some XSD schemas for everybody to fill in. But I think there will be a really good value when everybody can deliver their own schemas. So if you take the next slide, please. Because the principle is just like, I think it's just like a shopping list at the store. You use the schema or the shopping list both to say what you want to buy, and then you can validate afterwards. So we use that every day at my house because my wife writes me a shopping list. I go to the store, I get things, and she validates, and I have to go back if I haven't gotten everything, and then we continue the cycle until I get it right. So that's the same thing here. So I guess I said these things already, and I think we have seen some very exciting examples on how we can take Statens vegvesen's own requirements and put them into the data dictionary and the buildingSMART data dictionary, and then it will be possible to use IDS to have this kind of shopping list analogy. So next, please. And I think this is an important point because in my project we say that, okay, we use IFC, but there are many different levels of standardization that needs to be done. And I've stolen this figure from Leon van Berlo, or it's not actually quite the same, but the principle is the same, and that is that you have some things you can agree on an international level. We have some national requirements, organizational requirements, and project requirements. So we need to standardize in all of these fields, really. Yeah, we can just move on. We are thinking a lot about asset management and maintenance. And I work in constructing projects, and we are happy if we can just do the project, not have many problems, and just deliver everything over to the maintenance guys, and they can adapt all the problems. But that's not a very good way to do it. So we need to have more consideration for what's next. And then we see that in operation and management maintenance, it's basically the same. You have objects and attributes there as well, but you switch focus from the building process to the state of products and systems. So I think that's the data modeling that needs to be done in that field. That what are the objects that we need to know something about? What attributes do we need to keep track of the state of all of these products and systems that we are responsible for? And how do we validate that they can get the data that they want? And how do we find the data afterwards? And how do we keep the data alive? And this is also a video, so if you could play that. I think it's a good example of what we want to achieve in many more fields. Because this is a solution called RapportWeb, which is a database that holds all geological, geotechnical reports and so on, way back from the 60s. So each dot in the map here is a report, and you can see on the left side we have a bunch of attributes that we can filter on. So we can drill down into this and get reports in the area of interest, and in this way we don't lose old reports and information that was created in an earlier phase. So we want to have this for everything, really. That's the main goal. We want to know the state of each light pole, each product, each system, and we want it to be easy to find and easy to maintain. So that's a big challenge ahead. I guess I was a bit quick because I don't have any more slides.
No, that's great. Thank you, Eirik. Thanks for sharing that with us today. I think the insight into your domestic arrangements for shopping was very helpful for many of us. So thanks for that as well. And if you stay with us, we'll probably have time for some Q&A at the end. But at this point, I'm going to invite Karin to come up and join us. And I'll pull your slides up, Karin.
Hello, good afternoon. Am I the last presenter? No?
You are, yes.
Oh, so I'm between you and the afternoon drinks. Oh, Anna is doing the closing. Okay, all right then, Anna. I'm not quite sure which order I put my slides in, so I'm already apologizing for the possible red thread not to be complete. But so I'm Karin from Trafikverket, the Swedish Transport Administration. I've been a very big part of the IFC road project, and I could have had like IFC written in my forehead because this is really something that I've been working with for very long, together with a lot of people in here. I think it was about a year ago. I don't know if Will is in here, but I was asked to present in a webinar in America, and I created this map because I don't know if you who are not from the Nordics, I don't know if you realize the Nordics is quite a small part of Europe and quite a small part of the world, but so much is happening in Europe and in the Nordics, and the strength of us collaborating, I think, is immense. And I can only say that having met Eivind a few times, we keep talking about IDSs. We can talk about IDSs or IFCs or BIMQ configurations forever. And we share, I have access to the KIM database. Eivind has access to the StatsMig database. So we are sharing as much as we can because we need to be strong together to be able to influence the industry. So, and these are country codes according to ISO 3166-1 that we all use now with the new standard 23386, of course. So Sweden is so big compared to France. I'm not sure about the scale of all of this, but anyway, I think I've been doing some kind of speech or talk or whatever in buildingSMART since 2017, at least once a year, and I have a feeling I say the same thing every time. So I tried now to take some of my slides and turn them around or change them somehow. Just to begin with, because we've been doing this for so long, we have finally now reached a decision point. Together with Peter, we actually got this document, and it's gone quite far up. And so anyone who is going to develop anything that's got to do with information management, they've got to know about this at least, and see and contact us who work with this and start looking into what the IFC model can do for them. So this is a very big step. We also have the implementation plan that we are working with now during the fall, and that will be also detailing all the activities, and we have a communication plan en route, and etc. and training. This is one of the old pictures, so I'll just continue. Here's another old picture. This is what we've been trying to solve. So for the last few years, we've been working on a few development projects together with the whole of Trafikverket. So all the way from us working with the design and planning to the people who are actually going to maintain and take care of these facilities, because that's the long phase, to be honest. And during this project, this is an image we used in the beginning just to show that we have the old, the project model. This is the Stockholm Bypass project. We're working in ProjectWise and Navisworks and Navigator and all these tools that you all know about. And then at the end, we're going to move those poor little facility pieces into their asset registers. Those of you who were in the IDS workshop this morning, you saw me, I showed you Batman. That's the register for this bridge and bridge and tunnel management system that we have. It's a register that's been live, I think, for 20 years or something. And so we have all these registers to deliver our asset objects to, and they don't fit because we'll have round holes and square pieces and whatever. So the development project we've been working on. Oh yeah, what we learned. This is not good not seeing your slides. What we learned while we were working on these development projects is that these systems, they have their own internal processes. In Batman, you do inspections every 2 years, every 5 years, every 10 years. After 35 years, you have to change an edge beam. And that might be the first actual action, proper thing that you do to a bridge is after 35 years of its life. And NVDB has its own processes. They update whatever objects are in there, and that one, and all these asset registers, they have their own processes, and they also need to start talking more together if we're going to use what I think it was. There was some very clever word used yesterday for data that should be accessible for everyone. I can't remember the name now, but so these are all not just working in silos, but they need to start working together. So we started looking at how we can get the data from one end to the other. So we're going to try and solve that red arrow thing there. And we've been looking at how we can use new technologies, not just using IFC, but we have the IFC and we have these asset registers, and we need something in the middle to take care of it. So so these are two, just defining the problems, and we have these three images here that we keep talking about also, and we've actually, I think we can put a tick box in all of these except for the defined information need. We haven't come as far as Kim. We are working on it. Losing my thread here, probably because I squiggled it out there. Yeah, so this is the problem. You all understand that. That's nothing. I was just trying to say what we've been learning along the way, losing my thread. Okay, so today, or yesterday rather, this is what we had. This is the Stockholm Bypass Project. It's the truth. We've been doing this since 2012. We've learned how to work this because the Navisworks or the Navigator or whatever tool we're using down there without data loss doesn't happen. So yeah, so because we have all these formats, but this is what we want to go towards. And I really liked the panel discussion yesterday because this is what we are hoping for in the infrastructure industry now. We've been depending on a few vendors since the 80s. And now suddenly we're going to get all these really clever guys, new and old, and companies like Oracle or like I talked to the guy from StreamBIM. It's only been around for a few years. These are the software we want to get for the specific fit for the purpose that we want to use them for. So that's what we are now hoping for, and we're getting there, I think. We want to change those DGNs and DWGs and everything to the IFCs, and we've tested it. We know it works, and now we are moving it into production. Right, Stein? Yes. We're struggling, like all of you, with the project managers and everyone, but we are, we're getting there. This is another wisdom from the development projects. I think we need to understand the asset management side. Why we wanted to get the asset management systems on board now is because otherwise we get the double deliveries. We get the models that don't fit into those systems. So we've been backwards engineering. And while we were doing that, we realized that data is also needs maintenance. It's not just the bridge, it's also the data. So, and when I ask the guys, they say, oh, we need the PDFAs. And I said, well, how long have you had the PDFAs? Oh, we really need them. We've had them for so long. And when I interviewed a few people, and it's like, yeah, they've had the PDFAs since like 10 years. Before that, they had the PDF, they had the cows, whatever that is. I think we even had the PLT format at some point. And back in 57, it was just a big plastic drawing that was stored in a drawer. And then it was filmed somewhere in the 70s with these microfiche thing. And the microfiche was then transformed into this cows, etc. So that bridge, when it was built in 1957, we only just changed the edge beam here. The edge beam is our example for this project. And we only just changed the edge beam. And that drawing that's way over there, it hasn't been static since it was created. It's hardly legible today because it's gone through all these changes. But it's there, and it's sort of, yeah. So we're going into IFC slowly also with the asset managers, and we want to connect the IFC or deliver whatever is in the IFC file to the asset management system and some kind of IFC file, because we do think the IFC file in 50 years' time is better than the CALS. Maybe the CALS format was good, I don't know, but the microfiche or whatever. And this is the favorite subject of my friend Lars Wikström. I don't know if he's in the room, but these are ontologies and linked data. This is one of the parts of this development project we were using. We wanted to make a proof of concept that it actually works. We've got all the data, input data on the left, like the scanning data and the BIM data, and we somehow need to put it through something to get it distributed into the asset management systems. And it works. It takes a lot of clever ontology people to make it work, but it works. They looked at Batman. You've got Batman there. They looked at Batman and said, what is the data? What is Batman expecting? And on the other side, we had the IFC schema. What is the IFC delivering? And with co-class as the sort of common denominator in both, we did some kind of alignment ontology. I'm not sure if you've seen any of Lars's presentations, but they're much better explaining this than me. But it works. So we did this, and we we created an Excel, JSON, an RDF, and whatever else we did, and gave it to Batman and said, here you are. And it works. And that's our bridge, and we're sharing it with anyone who wants to see it. It should be perfect IFC 4.3 file right now. So and I did an IDS of it this morning. It worked fine. Yeah, I had lost it a bit there, but you get the gist of it. We're learning a lot all the time, and now we are putting this into production. Where we are looking at the ontologies, we're looking at what systems we need to have to link all these things together, and we're doing that until the end of, well, for the next 2-3 years. So we will have something in production soon. Thank you. Questions?
Lovely. Thank you, Karin. Any questions for Karin? No? Okay. I think Anna's going to take to the stage and sum up for us. Yeah?
Yeah, I have the honor to summarize this session. And my name is Anna Neidenström. I work with Tiina and Jim and some other people in the room for the infra domain, part of the steering group. I'm also part of Trafikverket, so I'm very proud every time Karin is sharing this bridge. So thank you. And I also want to thank you to all the different presenters today. We had a huge bunch of different examples and people sharing. So I'm very proud to be part of that Nordic hub and my fellow colleagues. So a big thank you to all of you that have gone through the presentations and sharing your examples. So a big hand to all of you. I think we should. I think that there was a lot of things about this sharing, that we are sharing the resources that Peter was introducing, and also how we can move together. Jenna was talking about moving together and not repeating our mistakes. So I think that's a good thing to keep in mind, that we don't have to share we can share our mistakes, but we don't have to do them again. So not repeating, and how we collaborate through the data, really using the data as the resource. So I think there's been a lot of good examples, and the shopping list to digitize, to don't have to hassle at home with your wife. That was also a good sharing of Eirik. So thank you. Are there any more questions from the audience? We have some time left, so please, if you have questions, don't hesitate. We have the full panel still left in the room and online. So Alexa?
Yeah, Alexa.
Thank you to all the presenters. It was all very interesting, and I love the collaboration and with all the Nordic countries. I was wondering if there is an opportunity through the infra domain to do more broader peer exchanges, so to speak. Yes, yes, I do. Although the time change may be a little difficult, but that has been something that in the US we've leveraged a lot, is just peer exchanges, just sharing information, and on a regular basis, whether it is, every 4 months or every whatever. But there's so much that I see everybody struggles through the same thing. And at lunch, Tiina and I we're talking about we don't want to repeat
exactly
how to do things, right? And so how can we share the knowledge best? I appreciate you said, the information is going to be there, is only in one language, but there are opportunities for others for us to translate it and share it broader. And that's one of the things I love about this community is all that collaboration and sharing of resources, and we're willing to do the same thing, of course. But that was just a general comment. So
I think perhaps Peter, do you want to take that question or elaborate on it? How we can collaborate more, and I think it's also something, we are both part of the infra domain, and we always talk about its reference projects and sharing. So I think we have some improvement to do. We are doing it, but we can do even more. So, and also these different hubs that we have.
Yes. So I was thinking a little bit if we could have a cooperation between on the chapter level. That could be one way. We have had different cooperation. I know at Trafikverket has, and you also have an exchange with the Finnish transport FTIA and with others, but I think it could be easier to go through the chapters maybe than through each organization. That could be one way of trying to do it. And then I think that the Nordic Hub could be a good way of doing that.
Yeah, please.
Can I also say something? When it comes to Bane Nor, especially for the BIM team, usually if you send an email to either myself, my manager, or to the BIM@banenor.no, we can come and hold a presentation of what we do in Bane Nor. We can have a 2-hour workshop where we share our experiences. We have no problem in doing it. Christian was last week, Caltrans, and Trimble was Norway. She was there holding a presentation for them. So there's contact us because we want to share, and that's a little bit. But of course, Peter says it, go through the chapters. I think especially in the Nordic, especially as infrastructure managers, we meet quarterly, and that we try to have a physical meeting. And in September of 2019, Federal Highway Administration, together with some of the ASHTO members, was in Norway and visited us. So there's no limit. It's just we need to be better at sharing, I think. And being better at sharing, people has also to contact those who are already sharing, like a short. Like I said, we used 3 people using 2.5 hours of it for the AEC industry in Norway. That's an example. I used 10 minutes. So contact, at least from Bane Nor's perspective, contact us and we can see when we have time and can fit it in. Of course, as you mentioned, time difference is a problem sometimes, but I think we'll be able to make it work.
It doesn't have to be that complicated. Yeah, Karin?
No, do you want to say something? After me? Okay. Well, I think now that with the IFC 4.3 project is done, we have some tunnel projects still ongoing. We have the test instructions for bridge is still sort of ongoing and ending soon. But now we're going into implementation, and all these questions are going to become like hot topics for all of us. And I think we should try and find time, please, Tiina, Anna, and the steering committee, if we could find, like, maybe form some kind of project. It would be in kind, I suppose, but if we could find a way and a structure to do that, I would really appreciate it. Just like Alexa.
I was going to say that one of the, putting on my roadmap hat, one of the activities that was identified on the diagram is the just keeping track of pilot activities and who's doing what and sharing that. And maybe we just need to find a way of doing that in a regular basis so that we can use the steering committee as a central point for funneling out some of these learnings. So if you've had we do it during the summits, and this is really helpful today, but we could do it all year. It doesn't have to be done face to face. It can be done, thanks to COVID. We can now do it all in online and share it. Mind you, you have to have the right time of day so us poor Aussies can see it.
Because I was thinking about it, we can also do webinars.
I was thinking about your webinar with Kim. So, I mean, there are a lot of opportunities where we actually show things and we share things. So.
Yeah. And what Karin said about maybe some kind of project, but it could be also kind of the working group, and then figure out how to maybe share these best practices and lesson learned with the industry more often than it has been in the past. So I really like the idea.
Is it not what rail?
Well, Winfried could reply to that.
You mean the project we
isn't that about sharing?
Everything is about sharing, isn't it? Yeah, of course. So yeah, I think this summit is also showing that okay, stand up. This summit is also showing that sharing is a very important part of our community, isn't it? Because we have had very many sessions now. We have tomorrow also sessions where we share some content about BSTD, about use case management, about all that stuff, and it's needed. Yeah, and when I saw the BSTD presentation, of course, so I have written my colleague from the steering committee from the railway domain, get in touch with Tarmo. I told him before, but now I pressed him and saying, get in touch with Tarmo. Let's do it together. So, and I think that's the way the community works, isn't it? So for me, it's not rail or a road or. No, but you have a project. You mean which project?
I thought you had an IFC in the railway domain.
Yeah.
Isn't that about going into implementation?
Yeah. Okay. That's what. Yeah. No. No. I got it now. Yeah, but we finished it now. We have 3 phases of our project. This IFC rail stuff started years ago. I can't remember, but it's not. And we have the first step was the requirement stuff. Then we produced the standard, and now in the last year until tomorrow, I hope the colleagues are still working on the final reports and so on. We have tried to get the standard implemented, to help software vendors to implement what we have done the last 5 years. And yeah, let's see what happened there. So join the session tomorrow. I think it's from 11:30 is the session time, right? 11:30. So I will be also surprised because I do not know the final report already. So I think that's the point. It is how to say, it's very difficult to proceed that project because when software vendors are in the game, you can't say implement that. That doesn't work. Yeah, so that's why we have this community of rail companies saying yes, we want to have that, and yeah, let's see what happened there. But it's one of the next steps, yeah, to do so far. And what we also want to maybe share, let's see how that will be possible. We try to plan in October a workshop, lessons learned from this 1-year project, because there was so much to talk about, which we didn't in the project, because then we wouldn't get to that point so far. Yeah? So yeah, maybe this is also a sharing point. Have lessons learned from projects.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Were there any questions online? Oh, Tarmo.
Hello, Tarmo. Thanks, Winfried.
Anything you want to add, Tarmo, before we finish?
No, I totally agree what you have said there. Sharing is everything. Sharing in this community is everything. We should share our experiments and, like Jenna said, not make the same mistakes, everybody. But share the mistakes. Yeah. Thanks.
That's a very good conclusion. Thank you, Tarmo. Yeah, so it's been a long day. So this was the last session. So thank you all for attending, and keep being inclusive, keep sharing, and we will do our best from the steering committee and from the infra domain to keep doing that and to really share all our knowledge and all our experiences. So thank you for this session.
Thanks so much.